Hello and welcome to a bit of a league update and I guess a ramble about the state of bossing in PoE and what I've done this league. I've still made a lot of money, obviously, like I do every league, but bossing is, it's only like day 4, day 5 now, and I'm already pretty burnt out from it. So I did make like 160 divine here, I have a mage blood, still have some stuff selling. I have this crazy amulet, which probably won't sell for this much by the way, but start high and then go low. And then I have about 50, 60 divines in my build. So all in all, I think I price checked. I'm about like 450 to 500 divines. I'm close to 500 divines. And that also is like not even counting the past 24 hours, because the majority of it I've just spent in my hideout, like crafting here and there, or just thinking about what build I want to reroll into, because I'm quite burnt out from bossing. And there's a couple of reasons for it. But I'll go over what I did and what you can do. Bossing is still pretty profitable right now, so it's not too late. So day one, what I always do is I start a build that's a bit faster for mapping. I finish my atlas with it, and then the plan is to respec into a trapper, and then start bossing. So this league, I didn't have too much preparation. So before the league started, I was just scrolling what build do I want to do. I saw the brand, Armor brand Recaller Hierophant build. So I just said, yeah, I'll just do that. I mean, I'm confident enough I can make it work. And the build was, it did what it needed to do. I wasn't a big fan of a few things. Before your Uber Lab and suppression, it was very squishy, especially with how the build played. You have to get literally on top of like the mobs. And then also it wasn't, the AoE wasn't as big as I had hoped, so definitely a few things that I didn't like about the build, but like I said, I was only planning to play it for one day and then respec anyway, so I didn't mind. Then I respec into Explosive Trap and started bossing. So day one, well, I guess day two is when I started bossing, because I actually transitioned a bit later than I normally do, simply because I was just doing tier 16s and making decent amount of money that I didn't mind going a bit later, especially because getting my gear was going to be cheaper then. So, but yeah, then day two came, and that's when I started doing Maven. Every league now, especially with how you can sell voidstones, Maven is always the best boss to do early. Also, if Poxes are RF Inquisitor and Elementalists are pretty meta, the boots are very expensive. I think the boots were 2.5 to 3 divines early. So basically, how I do it is I just sell 4 slots for the Maven Voidstone, which already gives you profit on the set. But then your main profit is the drops you get. So if you get boots or Awaken Gems, stuff like that, that will give you the profit. So I do that, but I don't just do Maven, because honestly, I find it like really boring and tedious to sell void stones. I mean, you either have to spam in well, not really spam in TFT because you can only type every 30 minutes, but then also spam in like trade at 20. So it's kind of annoying, but I mean, you kind of have to do it. I feel like if you really want to make big money early on bossing, because it's not like the drops are worth that much just to justify it running by itself. So basically, I do that, and then when I can't be bothered to sell a void stone, or if I'm timed out on TFT, well, not timed out, but you can only type every 30 minutes, then I do guardian invitations in the downtime. So either Conqueror or Elder is the main ones I do, because those are always profit, and as long as like I have a bunch of maps laying around, I can always just pop them in, run, and then when I do a Maven, pop the Maven, finish the Maven, go back to guardian invitations. So I just do that. Now, also, I want to quickly talk about. I also craft quite a few things and flip. I can't really go into detail into that because that's going to take like 20 videos to explain all of it. But that also makes me a decent chunk of my money. But you can make even more than I made purely from bossing, especially if you just sell void stones. Like honestly, selling void stones is crazy, crazy broken, but it's very tedious and boring to do, and you have to deal with people. You have to keep sitting spamming, like things like that, which I don't really want to do. So I just do it to basically not lose money, is the way I look at it. Because once I stop doing, well, I still do Maven, but I want to start doing Feared. That's the main thing I always want to do. And for Feared, the biggest cost of your set is Uber Elder, and Uber Elder also has a Void Stone. Now, selling the Uber Elder Void Stone, you usually get a lot more people than Maven, because a lot of people don't want to run Uber Elder, because the set is pretty expensive, right? But for Fear, then I just run it. I sell 4 slots for Uber Elder, and that combined with the Maven Writ you get from the Feared by rolling enough quant on it, you already profit from the set. And then in theory, all the other drops are pure profit. Now, unfortunately, this league with the breach rework, Chayula got hit pretty hard. So the stones are still really expensive early. They were like close to a divine, whereas the drops were super rare. I mean, I'm talking like I did like 30 fears or something, and I only got one skin and one blessing. So that's like 30 Chayula runs and like 30 feared loot explosions, right? And mind you, the loot explosions also were like the most of them were like 100 quant plus. So unfortunately, they're very rare, the drops of Chayula, which definitely cut into the profit a lot because skins was a big part of profit from feared early. But it is what it is. I mean, I still made a lot of money, right? So I'm not complaining. But it definitely started burning me out because I mean the bold fate as well, being under two divines, there just weren't too many expensive drops you could get, and the only things you could get, I mean, a disfavor is only like five divines and it's like a 1% drop rate. The skins also, like the skin I ended up dropping, it sold for 12 divines, but it was also like the perfect color for elementalists, so it was like a best case scenario, and it's super rare and it's only 12 divines considering I've spent way more than that on sets, right? So I started being like, also Watcher's Eyes not being, I mean, Watcher's is always a gamble, right? So it's not reliable. I always look at it as extra profit. But yeah, after that, I mean, selling voidstones was the main thing I guess I did, and Maven. Um, and then I moved on to start doing Ubers. So I still did Feared, but then for Cortex, I would do Uber Cortex. I also want to quickly talk about selling other slots. So you can sell Feared completion, you can sell Cortex completion, you can go crazy with selling the completions. What I usually do for Cortex is I start running my Cortex and I'll just type in trade 20, like willing to sell Cortex, if I can type favorite slot, like 35C or something like that. And then, but I'm still running my Cortex, so I don't spend any time finding people, right? And then if someone PMs me, I invite them, tell them enter, because I'm running it anyway, I may as well get back the money for the set, right? And then Feared, if I have like, usually I don't like selling Feared because I rather do like 120 quant, and sometimes I do need like 5 portals for it. So, but if I do it and I have like one boss left, sometimes I will just try and get like one or two people in, because people pay like 60 or 70 chaos for for Feared completion. So it's definitely worth doing as well. But yeah, then I do that. Then the other bosses. So I started doing Uber Maven because I don't want to sell voidstones anymore. And Uber Maven is in theory actually like profitable because the flask, the Progenesis, is quite expensive. Also, you know, you could get good awaken gems. The boots were still like a divine. So I just started doing Uber Maven because I had enough capital as well at that point where I didn't mind, you know, going 10 or 20 runs without making money to eventually make money, because that's unfortunately the state of the majority of the bosses now, where you can't like do 10 runs and expect to make money. Most bosses now just have, basically you lose money until you get that big drop to make money. So I did Uber Maven. I didn't get a flask, but I didn't run enough to warrant it. I think I only did like 30 or something. I also was doing Uber Cyrus. So same principle. I didn't get a flask or a massive Stratifo, but I didn't do too many. I did maybe like 15 or 20 or something like that. So again, didn't warrant a drop. But then I was looking at the prices, and honestly, it feels like the way bossing is, right? So you have all these drops that are like a 1 in 50 or a 1 in 100, and the sets are like half a divine too. For Maven, it's even a divine, right? Now, obviously, you make a lot of money from the other drops, but even the rare drops, now Maven is an exclusion because Maven is still worth it. The Progenesis is like 15 divines, but like Uber Cyrus, the sets is like half a divine each. The flask is like 8 divines, and the massive Shadow Pope is 5 divines. I think a large Shadow Pope is a couple divines as well, but anything else than that is basically almost no money. So you're just losing money and trying to get these big ticket items. And when you do get the big ticket items, they're not even worth that much in comparison. So, and also Uber Cyrus takes quite a long time, right? So, and then the other bosses you can do is steering Exarch and Either World. Now, how I look at these bosses is I tend to stay away from them early league, because early league with Maven and Uberelder, like I explained with selling the Voidstones, you always make profit on your investment no matter what. And then if you get a drop, it's like extra profit, right? Whereas these bosses, you actually have a buy-in cost. And the main money you will make to get your money back is you have to drop the rare drop from them. So if you don't drop an Omni from Searing Exarch, you're just losing money until you do. So early league, if you can't afford too many sets, it's very easy to just lose all your money doing it. So the way I look at these is I only do them if I have enough money to buy enough sets in case I go dry, and if on average the amulet is worth a lot more than the sets will cost me, right? Also, these are better to do like later on because the jewels actually start selling. I've had one jewel that sold for 12 divines. I still have this one that will sell for a few divines. I think I had a couple others that sold for like 2 or 3 divines. So all in all, that's what I do with Searing Exarch. But I always look at it as a gamble, whereas other bosses are just a guaranteed profit. So I don't really like doing it too much. And then Eater of World is basically the same thing, but you have to run an Uber because of Nimbus drop, which is also a big part of the profit. So if you can do Uber Eater, I mean, I've done like 2 or 3 Uber Eaters, but yeah, I don't like that boss too much. I think that's mainly it that what I do for bossing. Now, what I do recommend is just always doing Guardian Invitations. This league I did a lot of Guardian Invitations. I just found it to be very consistent and it's just something easier to do rather than sitting there trying to sell void stones, which is very annoying and boring to do. And then just with crafting and stuff like that, I made money. But like I said, I've been pretty burnt out and bored. The another main reason as well is because I was just making money and I don't even know what build I want to do next. The mage build, I mean, I ended up buying it just as an investment. Like I wasn't like I literally had this like Monday already, and I didn't even put it on my build because you know I would lose a trap throwing speed here. I had to change my flask. I would actually lose damage because I had to drop either a Serious Promise or Taste of Hate. So honestly, I didn't even bother using it, and this has been in my stash for like 3 or 4 days now. But like I said, it's basically like buying a mirror is how I look at it, right? It just goes up in price. So that was my league plan. I mean, if you're gonna boss now, what do I recommend? Feared, honestly, I find it quite lackluster with how the drops are. I mean, the only realistic drops you can get is like a Bald Fate, and that's only like 1.4 divines now. So you could get like a good Watchers or sell them an ID, I guess, if you really want to make money from it. I don't think you'll lose money, especially if you sell the Void Stone, you will always profit, so you can always do it, but don't expect to just do like, a couple runs and make like 20, 30, 40 divines. It could happen, right? But the odds are not in your favor. So you can just do Guardian Invitations. I think that's the most consistent and safe proof method. Maven is still really good. You can either, and I think now there's the options, you can either sell the Void Stones or run it Uber, or best case scenario, you run it Uber and sell the Void Stones if your build can handle it. That would definitely be the best money right now. Then I mean, guess there's Uber Cyrus, there's Searing. If you have enough money, you can definitely do Searing Exarch or Uber Eater of Worlds. Right now, the prices are on average you will make money, especially with the jewels going up and people actually buying them at this stage of the league. So those are the options you got. Don't know if there's anything I'm missing. I mean, I did do this boss, but I always think this boss is a meme. I mainly just did it for a challenge, so I don't think there's anything I'm missing. So as for what I'm planning to do next, I mean, I've decided instead of just sitting in my hideout for 2 more days, I think I'm just gonna go for an Inquisitor Spark setup. Personally, I don't really want to play the build, but since I already have an Inquisitor, I just want to do it because it's a very popular build as well. And honestly, I just want to craft items, and that's a nice build to craft for, especially craft for profit. So basically, I'm just gonna craft for profit now. Spend a few days in my hideout, and when I craft, I usually like to have a build in mind I'm crafting for. So that's why I'm gonna roll the Spark Inquisitor, see how it feels, play it a bit while just crafting items for it, and then we'll see from there, I guess. So that was it. I guess no more explosive trap videos for this league, maybe next league, but I didn't bother upgrading or changing anything about the build. It did everything I wanted just fine. I did break a couple of sets more than I normally do, unfortunately, but I still made enough money, so no point crying about it. And honestly, considering I didn't upgrade my build since basically the end of day one, I really don't mind breaking like 1 in 20 sets or 1 in 30 sets that I did. But yeah, other than that, if you have any questions, leave them below. I'll try and answer them. And hope you make more money than I do. Goodbye.